I thought I'd start with a poem that is called Champagne. It's more about the region and the making of it than the actual drinking of it. We've done that on this end. Champagne. The natives here have given up their backyards and are happy living where we cannot see them. No shade. The sky insists upon its blueness, the baskets their roped ovals. Gravel blinds us, blurring the road's shoulders. Figures moving against the corduroyed hills are not an industry to speak of, just an alchemy whose yield is pleasure. Come quickly. A whiff of yeast means bubbles are forming, trapped by sugar and air. The specialist who turns 30,000 bottles a day 10 degrees to the right lines up in a vaulted cellar for an Italian red at the end of the day. On either side, for as far as we can see, racks of unmarked bottles lying in cool fever. 3 centuries before, in this dim corridor, a monk paused to sip, said it pricked the tongue like stars. When we emerge, it is as difficult to remember the monk as it is to see things as they are. Houses waver in the heat, stone walls blaze. The hurt we feel is delicate, all for ourselves and all for nothing. Grape sherbet. The day, memorial. After the grill, Dad appears with his masterpiece, swirled snow, gelled light. We cheer. The recipe's a secret and he fights a smile, his cap turned up so the bib resembles a duck. That morning we galloped through the grassed over mounds and named each stone for a lost milk tooth. Each dollop of sherbet later is a miracle, like salt on a melon that makes it sweeter. Everyone agrees. It's wonderful. It's just how we imagined lavender would taste. The diabetic grandmother stares from the porch, a torch of pure refusal. We thought no one was lying there under our feet. We thought it was a joke. I've been trying to remember the taste, but it doesn't exist. Now I see why you bothered, Father. Daystar. She wanted a little room for thinking, but she saw diapers steaming on the line, a doll slumped behind the door. So she lugged a chair behind the garage to sit out the children's naps. Sometimes there were things to watch. The pinched armor of a vanished cricket, a floating maple leaf. Other days she stared until she was assured when she closed her eyes she'd see only her own vivid blood. She had an hour at best before Liza appeared pouting from the top of the stairs. And just what was Mother doing out back with the field mice? Why, building a palace. Later that night, when Thomas rolled over and lurched into her, she would open her eyes and think of the place that was hers for an hour, where she was nothing, pure nothing, in the middle of the day. Canary. Billie Holiday's burned voice had as many shadows as lights. A mournful candelabra against the sleek piano, the gardenia her signature under that ruined face. Now you're cooking, drummer to bass, magic spoon, magic needle. Take all day if you have to, with your mirror and your bracelet of song. Fact is, the invention of women under siege has been to sharpen love in the service of myth. If you can't be free, be a mystery. The narcissus flower. I remember my foot in its frivolous slipper, a frightened bird, not the earth unzipped, but the way I could see my own fingers and hear myself scream as the blossom incinerated. And though nothing could chasten the plunge, this man adamant as a knife easing into the humblest crevice, I found myself at the center of a calm so pure it was hate. The mystery is, you can eat fear before fear eats you. You can live beyond dying and become a queen whom no one surprises. Testimonial. Back when the earth was new and heaven just a whisper, back when the names of things hadn't had time to stick, back when the smallest breezes melted summer into autumn, when all the poplars quivered sweetly in rank and file. The world called, and I answered. Each glance ignited to a gaze. I caught my breath and called that life, swooned between spoonfuls of lemon sorbet. I was pirouette and flourish. I was filigree and flame. How could I count my blessings when I didn't know their names? Back when everything was still to come, luck leaked out everywhere. I gave my promise to the world, and the world followed me here. All Souls. Starting up behind them, all the voices of those they had named, mink, gander, and marmoset, crow and cockatiel. Even the duck-billed platypus of late so quiet in its bed sent out a feeble cry signifying grief and confusion, etc. Of course the world had changed for good, as it would from now on every day with every twitch and blink. Now that change was de rigueur, man would discover desire, then yearn for what he would learn to call distraction. This was the true loss. And yet, in that first unchanging instant, the two souls standing outside the gates, no more than a break in the hedge, how had they missed it? Were not thinking. Already the din was fading. Before them, a silence larger than all their ignorance yawned, and this they walked into until it was all they knew. In time, they hunkered down to business, filling the world with sighs, these anonymous, pompous creatures, heads tilted as if straining to make out the words to a song played long ago in a foreign land. Foxtrot Fridays. Thank the stars there's a day each week to tuck in the grief, lift your pearls, and stride, brush, stride, quick, with a heel ball toe. Smooth as Nat King Cole's slow satin smile, easy as taking one day at a time, one man and one woman, rib to rib, with no heartbreak in sight. Just the sweep of paradise in the space of a song to count all the wonders in it. There is a poem here that I've wanted to read for a long time, and this seems like actually the best time to read it. It's from my book, Sonata Melodica, which tells the story of a mixed-race violinist who, in fact, Beethoven had composed the sonata for him, George Bridgetower, and it was his absolute non-presence in history that haunted me and made me go back and actually resulted in an entire book of poems about his life and what I imagine it to be. The characters, the people that he met, they also began to insist on their stories, and this is one of the characters in the book. It was actually, he was the King of England. He became king finally, King George IV. At this point, he is still prince. He's Prince Regent. He's just become regent. His father, George III, if you remember, your history kind of went, wacko. And finally, his rather extravagant son was granted this regency. heralding in an era of great exaggeration and extravaganza. It just seemed that he couldn't get enough of anything. And so this is his feast. This is his way of celebrating the world. He had a Regency fete in 1811. The Regency fete. 1811, the Prince Regent celebrates himself. I have always believed that love is an overflowing, an abundance one needs to be rid of to pour into another. That other can be a man or a woman, dog or hillock, or headdress of ostrich feathers. It can be sculpture or shoreline or even a sunless day seeping its silvery light over the Thames. It may arrive quietly, a moment between moments in the river of talk, after the hot soup but before the mutton, or it can be the mutton too, its ginger tang and musky finish. However it comes, the sensation is massive, inconvenient, undeniable. If one were to banish extravagance, all longing would take on edges. Witness the general poised on the smoking field as he surveys the strewn body bits with a ghoulish mix of rue and relish. He has won another snippet of territory and is hungry for more. Love is rounder and less dignified. If love brandished a sword, I would kneel and bare my neck. Some call me gaudy, capricious. It's true that I drool when I drink and cannot walk the path from bed to breakfast tray without wheezing. I'm gouty, corseted, flatulent, but it's all because I cannot refuse a thing its chance to shine, to sigh or deliquesce. So let there be stars in every glass and fireworks over the park, spun sugar pagodas on mirrored lakes, diamonds of footmen in ancient armor, crimson drapery, and down the center of the banquet table, set for 200 in the Gothic conservatory, an actual stream, pure water cascading between banks of real moss with tiny flowers, and fish flashing gold and silver down the sluice. More pineapples, more cherry wine. Tell the other 2,000 guests gathered in Carlton House that we are here to show the world England's swaggering heart, and that I intend to celebrate all century until something even grander arrives, more outrageous and beautiful, to swallow me in its monstrous, invisible embrace. And so this one is called The Spring Cricket Considers the Question of Negritude. I was playing my tunes all by myself. I didn't know anybody else who could play along. Sure, the tunes were sad, but sweet too, and wouldn't come until the day gave out. You know that way the sky has of dangling her last bright wisps? That's when the ache would bloom inside until I couldn't wait. I knelt down to scrape myself clean and didn't care who heard. Then came the shouts and whistles, the roundup into jars, a clamber of legs. Now there were others, tumbled, clouded. I didn't know their names. We were a musical lantern. Children slept to our rasping sighs. And if now and then one of us shook free and sang as he climbed to the brim, he would always fall again, which made them laugh and clap their hands. At least then we knew what pleased them and where the brink was. Thank you. Thank you.